The next panel is Input Output Tools. That means this option you can input the animation you've created in other software. For example, click on it and input your file. And this is export, by which you can export your animation here. Well, the next panel is Settings. Here you can change the language of the script, and here you can change the different modes of the script. The standard mode was what we were working with so far. For example, when export is enabled and click apply, in rigging window you see that you will have all the options as icons. And this option works more with the appearance of the script. And here is related to updates, and there aren't any specific issues here to deal with. Well, basic tutorial and introduction of the script end here. And in the next parts we'll explain how to create animation of walking, running, and bicycling for human characters manually, as well as animal rigging and animating it automatically by the walk cycle tool. In this part we're going to teach you how to create a walk cycle for the characters you've rigged using script. There are generally two methods for animating. First method is frame by frame, in which the drawing starts from the beginning and poses of the characters are created frame by frame. And the second method is pose to pose, in which first the key poses of the characters are created and then in betweens, and the animation will be formed gradually. And since we're using After Effects that automatically creates the frames between the two keyframes, the best method for creating animation for us is the second method, that's pose to pose. First, to make animating the character easier, it's better to arrange the layers. Here are the layers of the controllers. Here are the layers of the structures I explained in the previous parts. And from here below are the layers of the character itself. Well, I don't need these, so I select all layers and activate their shine to hide them. And I only deactivate shine for these controllers and click on shine option. Since we're at the beginning of animating and the body and legs of the characters are to be animated, we don't need the controllers of the hands, shoulders, head, spine and hip. So we hide them and only keep these three layers. Well, we don't need the hands layer either. So also select the hand layers and hide them. And in order to get an acceptable result for the walk cycle at the end, it's better to use a reference. I took this reference from the internet. Just type walk cycle in Google, then it gives you such things. Well, as you see, the first was to be created for the character is contact. It's not because it's at the beginning, but the best pose to begin creating walk cycle is contact. In the next part, where we try to create a run cycle for the character, you understand it's not necessary to begin the first pose with contact. Rather, we may begin, for example, from down or up pose. Well, the first pose we have here is contact, which means connection, and it's because the feet of the character are on the ground. So we should create this pose for the character. Let's go back to After Effects. Well, I want this character to take 2 steps in every second. 1 step by the left foot and 1 by the right foot, and naturally if every second contains 24 frames, every step should occur in 12 frames. So I set the comp frame rate at 24 frames per second, and here added a marker for the first pose that I want to create for the character and name it contact, and at frame 12 where this pose is going to repeat, again I add another marker and name it contact. And at frame 24, that first contact pose should be made again. So again I name it contact too. If you didn't realize, it's no problem, because during the work and creating poses, you'll see how these contacts help us. Well, I should create the first pose, that's this contact. Let's take a good look. As you see, the body is a bit lower than the natural pose. One foot is back and one is front and they're on the ground. We're going to create this pose. So I select the layers, I appear this position and rotation and create keyframes for all of them. As we saw, the character's body was a bit lower than the natural form. So I select the controller of the body and take the character a bit lower. Well, it's fine. And when the character is on contact pose, it should bend forward. So I set its rotation to -5. Let's go to the right foot of the character. We bring this back to create the same pose in the reference. Okay, it's fine. If you notice, this knee joint of the characters is separated. To fix this problem, we go to effect control window of this leg and in a storage item, disable auto storage. As you see, it becomes alright. We rotate it and set it to -4. Let's go to the left leg and bring it forward. Well, it shouldn't be fully straight. Okay, it's fine. And its ankle should turn upright. 12 is good. Well, we created the first pose of the walk cycle poses of the character. We copy these keyframes and should paste them on the last marker, which is at frame 24, because we want a complete cycle to occur and the beginning of our animation should be exactly the same as its end so that the cycle loops without any problem. So I select these keyframes I've created and use motion to script to copy them and click clone. In order to create a second pose contact, we should create exactly the same pose of the character except that here, contrary to the first contact, where the left foot of the character is front, it should be back in the second contact and the right foot should be front. To do this, first I copy the keyframes of the first contact of the left leg and paste them for the layer of the right leg. And do the same for the first keyframes of the right leg. I copy and paste them on the second contact for the layer of the left leg. As you see, it becomes alright. Here also a disjunction has occurred between the bones. So we go to the effect control and disable auto storage. And also we copy the keyframes of the body in the middle contact. So far we have created 3 poses of our character. Well, what would be the next pose? As you see, we created the contact, and this is the second contact we've created. So the pose between these two will be passing. Then the passing pose will be at frame 6 because it's exactly in the middle of 12 frames. So we create a marker and name it passing. And we create another marker here at frame 18 because it will be in the middle between these two contacts. Add a marker, passing, OK. To create the passing pose, we first take a look at the reference. Here its height is almost the same as in the contact. And this back leg is passing the front leg. And this is placed almost under the body. Well, we go to the passing frame. In the contact, this back leg, that's right leg, should be in the passing pose here. In this pose, the character's body comes a bit higher, and its rotation also decreases. We set it to -2. And this right leg, which is passing, should come a bit higher and back. And we turn the ankle downward. Okay, it's fine. The position of other leg is alright. We just set its rotation to 0 so that it's placed straight. So we create the first passing pose. We go to the second passing pose and copy the keyframes of the right leg for the left leg. Copy the keyframes of the body again, and this keyframe for the right leg. First I limit the work area up to here and play. Okay, it looks good so far, not bad. And for your animation to be smoother and better, we create up and down poses too. First we create the down pose. Here the body is at the lowest level of itself, the legs are at this position. Down is between the contact and passing, and up is between the passing and contact. So we go between contact and passing and add a marker at frame 3 and type down. Here we also add a marker and type up. Here down again. and here up again. Let me hide this so that we can better see the markers. We go frame 3 where we should create the down pose. In this pose, the character's body should be much lower. So I bring the characters down. Okay, it's fine. I bring the right leg toward right and upward. And rotate it so that its tip is placed on the ground. Okay, it's good. To create the second down, we copy the keyframes of the down pose of the right leg and paste them for the left leg. And copy the keyframes of the body too. Let's go to the up pose. As you see, the body and the head are at the highest position. This leg is fully stretched and this leg is bent. Well, first we should bring the body up. Okay, it's fine. Let's bring this right leg down and toward back. Okay, it's alright. And set this rotation to 4 so that the ankle rotates upward. So copy these keyframes for the up pose of the left leg. And do the same for the body. Now let's take a look at it. Okay, it's fine. Just let's set the keyframes of the passing poses on Bezier mode so that the animation becomes a little better. So the rotation of the ankles in the poses should be set to 0. This also should be 0. Okay, it's fine. Let's go to animate the hands. We select the hand controllers and deactivate their shy. Appear its layers. To animate the hands, we need to change IK to FK. To do this, I select the right hand controller and go to the effect control and disable IK. FK, individual control, and I make keyframes for upper, lower, and ankle. We do the same for the left hand controller. I press U key to be shown my keyframes. Well, the first form we need to make for the hand is in contact pose. First, I make the form of the left hand. The left hand should be positioned exactly opposite to the left leg. When the left leg is in front, the left hand should be back. So I take this and put it back and rotate it as much as the elbow doesn't pass my character's body. I also rotate the forearm a little. The wrist also rotates a little toward back, or this zero is good. In the middle contact pose, the left leg is back, so the right hand should be in front. I rotate this up to here. I bring this forearm forward, and the wrist also comes up. Okay, it's fine. I copy the keyframes of the first contact and paste them on the end contact. Okay, it's alright. To create the form of the right hand which is in the back and cannot be seen, I copy the keyframes of the middle contact of the left hand and paste them for the first contact of the right hand. You see that becomes alright. This is toward front and the leg toward back. For the middle contact, I copy the keyframes of the first contact of the left hand and paste them. And for the end contact, the first keyframes. I select all the keyframes and ease them. Well, let's take a look and see how it's become. Okay, it's good, not bad. But we can make the animation of the hands better and more realistic. To do this, I first enable the lower expression of the right hand and interlooping for it, so that it makes the animation of the lower loop before the keyframes. I bring the keyframes more forward and put them exactly at down pose, so that the forearm rotates with a delay after the arm. And I do the same for the rest. Control C and Control V. And here I put the keyframes 2 frames after the lower. So I do the same for the left hand too. Let's take another look. As we see, the hands move much more naturally. Well, we go to the animating of the head. First we deactivate its shy and set its rotation to -7 in down pose, so that when the character comes down, its head rotates down too. We create the keyframes. We set it to -3 in up pose, so that it becomes up a little, and easy is the keyframes. And change the loop out to the ping pong. Well, the walk cycle animation of the character is finished. In the next part, we'll teach you how to make the run cycle of the character. Well, we come to the second part of animating the character, that's the run cycle. You might think the running is the same walking that's done faster, and you don't need to use any reference. But you should know that running is a completely different story than walking, and you need to use the reference. So I found this reference for running. If you notice, you see that in one of the key poses of run cycle, character is completely in the air, while in walking, the character won't be disconnected from the ground. Well, let's go to arrange layers. Exactly the same as the previous part. Now we don't need the arm layers, so hide them. We shy all the layers and keep only the controllers. We don't need either the controllers of the hands, shoulders, head and hip, so we hide them. And only we work with these 3 layers of the body, the left leg and the right leg. If you remember in the previous part, we made a walk cycle that's the 2-step walking of the characters in 1 second, or in 24 frames. That's done usually this way because it's a normal speed of walking, but here, since the character is supposed to run, so his speed will be faster, we try to make this cycle in 16 frames. So we set the frame rate composition to 24 like the previous part, and trim the comp to 1 second, and limit the work area to 16 frames. Let's start animating the different poses for the character. Well, the first pose we have here is up, then contact, then down, then kick off where the character again start to move, and then up pose while the legs will be opposite to the first up pose. The first pose we need to create is up, unlike the walking where we started from contact, so here we start from up pose. Although here also you can start with contact, but we use this pose to make it easier to create this cycle. In this pose, the front leg is this way, and the back leg is this way, and the body is completely up in the air. So we go to After Effects and show the position and rotation of the layers. At the first frame we create a marker named up. At frame 16, which is to be the last frame of the run cycle, we again add another marker, and in the middle of this 16 frame, which is frame 8, we create again a marker named up. So we create the up pose for the character. In this pose, the character should be placed in its highest pose from the ground. So I give -20 to Y position of the body to bring it up, and also should bend forward. So I set its rotation to -10 so that it bends forward. Then let's take a look at the position of the legs and this right leg. Oh, I made a mistake in naming. This is the left leg. Well, we bring the left leg forward and rotate its ankle upward. Then we bring the right leg back and adjust its rotation this way, and almost the 2 legs should be in a level. Then we create the keyframes of the controllers. And we go to the last up pose and copy these keyframes by using motion to script. Now we go to the middle up pose where the same pose should be created, except that the position of the legs should be reversed. The left leg comes toward back and the right leg comes forward. To do this, we copy the initial keyframes of the up pose of the left leg and paste for the middle up pose of the right leg. We do the same reversely for the left leg. We also copy the keyframes of the body and paste them here. So far we create the up poses for the character. Well, let's take a look at the reference. So this up pose and the second up pose are created. The pose which is in the middle of these poses is down pose. So we go to the middle of these poses, which is frame 4, and create a marker and name it down. And do the same for here too. Here, the character should be placed on its lowest pose. So I set it here to 40 to be 20 pixels lower than the normal pose. Then the leg which is in front should be placed this way. Which leg was in front? The left leg. So I bring the left leg here and set its rotation to 0. I place it exactly on the ground. And another leg is placed this way. And I adjust its rotation this way. Well, this was the down pose of the character. So we should create the same down pose for here too. To do this, we copy the keyframes of down pose of the right leg for the left leg. And do the same reversely for the right leg. And we copy this also to be created properly. Well, up to here the running animation of character is created. Well, I select all the keyframes and ease them to see how it becomes. As you see, the running animation of the character is created, just it doesn't have the real softness. So, we should correct the motion path so that a good animation will be resulted. Well, first I come to correct this path. You drag this handle until the leg becomes quite straight. It's better to be a little bent. Then the same for this handle, so that a semicircle is made here. Here also the same should be made. A semicircle, and this one comes a bit this side. We make such a form for it. Okay, it's good. We also correct the path for this right leg. Okay, it's fine. Well, let's play it to see how it has become. You see that it has become much better. Well, let's take a look at these poses. After up, it's contact. In contact pose, this leg should be a little upper than the up pose. Well, the contact is between up and down. Here the leg should be a little upper and more to this side. Let me correct its path. I copy this keyframe and paste for the other leg. I adjust the path of up poses as well. Let's take a look again. Here the body should be down so that the leg of our character is placed on the ground. In down pose, this leg comes a little higher to be placed on the ground. The next pose is kickoff. We should create kickoff after down, and it's such a form. After down is kickoff pose, and this foot should be placed on the ground. So we copy and paste this keyframe for the other leg so that its kickoff pose becomes okay. Now, the running of the character is almost created. As you see, you should make such a pass at the end. This was the animation of character's leg. Let's go to the motion of the hands. I show the hand layers and deactivate the shy of hand controllers. Here, the same as the previous part, we should disable IK and enable FK and create the keyframes for lower, upper and goal for it. Then I do the same for left hand and create its keyframes. Okay, I select the two layers and press U key. I bring the keyframes I've created to the first frame. When the left leg is in the front, the left hand should be toward back. So we also bring the forearm lower. And we correct the wrist rotation too. And this hand toward this side. The forearm higher. And the wrist comes upward. Well, we select these keyframes and go to the last up pose and click clone of motion to script to be copied. In the middle of pose, we copy the keyframes of the left hand for the right hand and copy the keyframes of the right hand to the left hand to be made. We easy the keyframes to see how the animation has become. So backward motion of this left hand is a little low, so I increase it. I copy and paste here and paste here too. Let's see how it has become. Well, it's now better. To make the motion of the hands a little more natural, we create looping for lower of the right hand like the previous part. We do the same for the goal. And also we do the same for these two. We select the keyframes of lower and place them with 1 frame distance from upper, and select the keyframes of goal and place them with 1 frame distance from lower so that the animation of the hand becomes better. Let's go to the head control and deactivate its shy and show its rotation. When the character is on down pose, character's head goes backward, so I set it to 5. And when it goes up, I set it to -5 to come down. Again, when it comes down, I repeat. And again, when it goes up, it comes down. And here -5. Then we ease our keyframes. And we change the offset of head keyframes so that the softness of head's motion can be completely seen. And create loop out for it. Another point remains here that when it's on up pose, the rotation of body is at -10. And when it comes to down pose, its rotation must increase, so I set it to -20 and copy these keyframes for this down pose too. As you see, the motion of the character becomes better. Well, the run cycle of the character here is finished. And in the next part, I'll show you how you can measure character with the bicycle and rig it. And finally, you can easily create a bicycling animation for your character.
In this session, we want to talk about matching the background with walking cycle of the character. To prevent a slipping of the character's feet on the floor, let me explain something for you. I create a background which has different layers and I have parented all of them to one null object. Now, when the position of null object is animating, the background will move accordingly. First of all, import the composition of the character we've animated before to the composition of the background. Note that the background's composition should be 24 frames per second to have the same frame rate with the character's comp and to prevent problems of the animation of the character. Import the character's comp to the background's comp and place it under the foreground layers. Drag the indicator to the beginning of the timeline to see the character. Drag down the character until it's completely placed on the ground. Let me tell you one important point. There are two ways to match the walk cycles with the background. Firstly, when you want your character to be static and have walk cycle and background moving, and secondly, your background will be static and your character will move from right to left and will move the scene. I will explain both of them. This is our character's comp. Let me delete its markers. As you see, the length of the character's comp is 1 second. Let me solo it. First of all, we should loop the animation of character and continue until second 6. For this, right-click on the character's comp and from time, click on Enable Time Remapping. Then we should extend the duration of the comp to 6 seconds. Activates the expression for time remap property and select loop out from the property drop-down menu. As you see, the walking cycles is repeating. There is one problem that when it comes to the last frame of the composition, the character disappears. To solve this problem, I create a keyframe before the last keyframe and delete the last keyframe. Okay, let's have a look. As you see, the problem solved. Now I want to talk about the first status, in which the background moves and the character is static and thus the walking cycles. Usually many people use this method. They create a keyframe for the position of the null in the beginning of the timeline, and also another keyframe at the end of the position that they want the walking cycle to continue. Then drag the background forward. Now play. As you see, this action causes a slipping of the character's feet. Can you understand? It's slipping. So the method is not correct. To avoid this and have a better animation, we can create the first keyframe. Let me zoom in. You can see the distance between the line and the feet of the character. We should go forward until the other leg is in the same place. Here, exactly in frame 12. I told you, every step of the character is 12 frames, so 2 steps will be 24 frames. So, in frame 12, we should place this line of the background behind this foot of the character with exactly the same distance. Let's have a look. We've gone one line forward. It was this line. Okay, Let's have a look. A bit forward. Okay, now it's correct. To match the entire walking cycles, let me hide this to be shown completely. Create loop out expression for this one. Delete this part and add offset expression here. Let's see the result. Zoom in to watch it closer. See how much is the distance between the line and character's foot. That's moving as he walks. Now, this line is in the middle of the character's foot. As you see, it's in the middle until the end of the animation. Here, it has again the same distance, and it repeats. Watch the whole animation of walking up the character. As you see, our character is completely matched with the background and there is no slipping. Sometimes Floor doesn't have this kind of lines. Let me show you. Sometimes these lines are not obvious. No matter, you don't need that much attention. Slipping won't be obvious. So this was the first status. The next status is when your background is static and your character is moving. Let me disable the position. Now we should animate the position of the character. It's like the previous status, but in this status, we animate the position of the character. Create a keyframe in the beginning of the timeline. Be careful that this foot should be static in the position. So go to the frame 12 in which this foot was in front and drag the position of the character. Then left click on the position and select the keyframes and place the character and its animation out of the scene. Like the previous status, enable the loop out expression. And type offset here. Let's see. Up to here. As you see, there is no slipping in walking cycle and the character is completely matched with the background.
In this part we want to talk about how to create bicycle animation. Well, as you see we have a character which is rigged using Duik script like the previous part. And I've added a bicycle, and to make better harmony between the character and the bicycle, it's better the saddle to be placed below the waist of your character. Well, to begin rigging the bicycle, let me first show you the layers of the bicycle. There is a main layer, which is the frame of the bicycle, two layers for its wheels, one layer for the chainring. This is the left pedal crank arm and this is the pedal itself. And this is the right pedal crank arm and this is the right pedal. So first we're working with these layers. We wanna make it work so that when the chainring rotates, the pedal begin to rotate as well. So first I select the layers of the left and right pedal crank arms. As you see, its anchor point is placed where the anchor point of the chainring is. And I parent these two crank arms to chainring. Now when we rotate the chainring, you see that the crank arms begin to rotate as well. Well, now we need these two pedals to rotate together with the chainring as well. So we parent the left pedal to the left crank arm and the right pedal to the right crank arm and then we rotate. As you see, it rotates now, but the pedals don't rotate correctly because the pedal of bicycle in this position doesn't stand vertically, but it should stand horizontally. To make such a form, we reveal the rotation of the left pedal, activate its expression, and parent it to the rotation of the chainring. Now you see that when I rotate this chainring, this pedal rotates correctly. Well, we do the same for the right pedal. Now it's rotating correctly. So this was the rigging of the pedals. Let's go to the character to match it with the bicycle. We click shy, we just need the controllers of the character. And we no more need the left pedal, its crank arm, frame, the wheels, and the right pedal. So we shy them and only keep the chainring. Well, we first need to select the character's body and place it on the saddle. As you see, when I bring up the character, the knee joint separates. We should disable auto stretch from stretch. We do the same for the other leg as well. We do the same for the arms too. After we place the body, we come to the left foot. We put the left foot on the left pedal and the right foot on the right pedal. Well, the layers of the right leg should be below the layers of the bicycle. So I select these layers and take them below the layers of the bicycle, so that it becomes completely normal. Then I set the hand position, so it comes exactly on the handlebar. Now I correct its rotation. Well, in order that the hands of the character reach the handlebar, we need to rotate the body forward. Let me click shy so that the unwanted layers become hidden. Then I set the hand position. We bring the character more forward so that it comes on its exact position. Now it's alright. Well, to place the other hand to same position, we copy the position and rotation of this layer for this hand. So both hands are placed exactly on their position, and the character is almost rigged. Now, just one issue is remained, that's to parent this leg controller to the pedal, so that whenever the pedal moves, the leg moves as well. Let me first unhide the layers. Well, the controller of the left leg should be parented to the left pedal. So I drag it down to parent it to the left pedal. As you see, as I parent it, a problem occurs and my character's leg turns backward. To avoid this, select the two leg controllers and click Add 0 from the script in Link and Constraint panel, so that the values of the position and rotation of your controller become 0. As soon as you set them 0, this controller layer becomes parent to some other layers below your layers. As you see, this is for the left foot, foot 2, and this is for the right foot. Now I parent this null created for the left foot to the left pedal and the layer created for the right foot controller to the right pedal. Now I activate Shy and reveal the rotation of the chainring and rotate it. As you see, when I rotate the chainring, the pedals and the feet are correctly parented and it animates the pedaling. Let me set it to 0 and go to animating the bicycle. I set my comp to 24 frames per second and its duration to 2 seconds. We don't need this part, so I hide it. And we don't need the controllers of the hands, feet, shoulders, head, spine and hip, so I hide and shy them. We only need the controllers of the body and the chainring. Now we begin animating the character and bicycling. Well, I first animate the upper body, then animate the pedaling relative to the upper body. First I create a keyframe for the position and rotation of character's body. Then go 5 frames forward. I bring the character up and forward as much as the hands don't separate from the handlebar, and bring it upper again as much as the hand becomes straight and the right leg don't disconnect from the pedal. Well, it's alright. We go 5 frames forward and bring the keyframes in which the character is sitting at frame 10, so that the character sits here. Before it sits, it will have more rotation, so first it rotates and then sits. Then we ease the keyframes. We go 7 frames forward and rotate the body. And again go 7 frames forward and copy the last keyframe. We go 7 frames forward and copy this keyframe so that the character becomes straight again. Then we make the character standing again. We go 5 frames forward and copy the keyframes of standing posture and paste them here. I copied this for the sitting and want it not to stand in the next 3 frames. So it first bends and then begins to stand. Let me increase its rotation a bit. And I end the work area here. Well, let's take a look at our animation to see how it has become. The speed of the animation is a bit fast, so I select all the keyframes and increase the distance between the keyframes using Alt and drag. Well, it's still a bit fast, so I take this keyframe that controls the standing of the character backward, so that the character stands earlier. Here it bends too quickly, so I copy these 2 keyframes. Well, still the animation is fast, so we set the duration of the comp to 5 seconds. Select all the layers and increase it to the end of the comp. Then we select the keyframes and by holding Alt key and dragging slow down the animation. And put the end of work area here. So we take this back and delete these 2 and take this back. Also increase this distance. Copy this keyframe and increase this distance. So that the duration that the character is straight increases. Well, it's alright. Let's go to animation of the chainring. We create a keyframe here at the beginning, and the next one at where the character fully sits. I set this to -30, and from here where the character bends, its pedaling should increase. It should be increased up to here where it's bending. So I set it to -3, and then where it becomes straight again, I set this to -60 up to here, and easy is the keyframes. Let's see how it becomes. Well, here it begins early. I use from motion to script and increase its ease. And I should set this rotation to a state as it's at the beginning of timeline, so that the cycle repeats. So I set this to 0, I change it to an auto bezier and this one too. Here -2 and here -3. Let's see how it has become. Well, it's good. Then we go to the rotation of the wheels. We appear the rotation and deactivate the retry. Here we make a keyframe in order that upon looping of the animation, the speed of the rotation of the wheels doesn't change. We create a keyframe at the first frame and another one at the end of the animation and set it to -10. Okay, it's good. You can create better animation by changing the position of your character and making different state for it. I did it as I thought, so don't suffice to it. And always keep this point in your mind that for creation of animations such as walking, running, or bicycling, you need patience and need to make a lot of practices in order to achieve a very good and acceptable result. Hey guys, in this part we wanna talk about rigging an animal. In this example, I've created a dog character and we wanna learn how to rig an animal and then create an automatic walking for it using walk cycle tool. Well, let me first show you the layers so you see what happens. First, I hide all. This is the hip layer of the dog. The next layer is the leg. The next, the forearm, and then the paws. You can see that in these layers, like the layers of the human characters, we have designed the joints as circles, so that no deformation occurs in the joints when rotating. And the next, the tail layer, and then the shoulder layer. This is its arm, and this is forearm, and this is hand. Well, I've created a layer as the chest and one layer as the dog's hip. And here I created its neck. Here are the back leg and the front leg of the character. I reveal them, and the last is its head and ears. And these two layers are the spots on the body of the dog. This spot is parented to spine 1, that's this layer, and this is spot to spine 2, which will move with it. Well, as I explained in the rigging of human characters, for the joint it's better you place points like this, so that when you're matching the bone structure with the character, the anchor points of the skeletons are placed exactly where the anchor points of the layers are, and you have a more precise animation. I place the points, so we go to the bone structures. Now we first begin with the arm structure of the dog. So we go to the option of the arm, and this time we use this option because we want to create the structure for the arms of those animals that have paws, including dogs. And this is for the animals which have hooves, that for now we need this one. Well, we also need a shoulder and claws, and then click create. So the structure is created. We start placing it on our points to match them with the dog. After placing the bone structure, we select the bone layers and want to copy this structure for the left arm of our character. So we go to the tools panel and change its name. Click rename, so it will be clear that it's for the left arm. To duplicate the layers, as I said, select the structure and click on duplicate button. I changed the color of the structure to make it clear and also change its name. It's for the right hand of the character, so 4 letters from the beginning should be decreased and 2 from the end. Okay, it's alright. Let's go to the bonus structure for the leg of the dog. Well, we return to the structure panel and go to the leg option. And all the checkboxes should be enabled. And click create and then begin placing. Then after we did the placing, we do the naming for this structure too. First we rename it and then duplicate them and rename it. And change its color so that it becomes fully distinct. Then we go to the structure of the spine, neck and the head. Well, let's go to the spine and go to its setting. We need a layer for the head, one layer for the neck, and one layer for the spine, and one layer for the hip to be here, and then click create. Okay, we match these bones with the character. After the spine, neck, and the head structures, we go to the tail structure. Let me change the color of this as well. We go to the tail structure. Come back to structure panel. So how many bones do we need for the tail? 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Then we go to the setting of the tail and type 5 layers and click create. And begin placing. After we place the skeletons of the tail, we should select the tail layer and create pin puppets for it, so that we can parent the pins to the bones and animate the tail by them. We select the tail layer and then select the pin tool and then begin creating the pin puppets. We create these pins exactly where we place the bones. After we created the pin puppets of the tail layer, we select all the pins and in the script, click on add bones to create bones for them. Now we come to when we should parent the layers to the structure. This is the right side of the dog, so it should be parented to the right thigh bone. And this is the right cuff, so it should be parented to the right cuff bone. 16, 15, then 14, and then 13. Let's go to this layer that's the right shoulder of the dog. We should parent this to the right shoulder bone. So that was 27, next 26, 25, 24, and the last is 23. Let's go to the left thigh. So we come and find the left thigh. Well, 21, 20, 19, 18. Then we go to the left arm of the dog. Well, this is the left shoulder, so that's what, 33, 32, 31, 30, and 29. Okay, the head of the character should be parented to the head structure. Its ear should also be parented to the head layer. Let's go to the spine layer. We start from the back, that's the hip. Spine 2 should be parented to the hip. Spine 1 should be parented to the spine. And the neck should be parented to the neck structure. Let's go to the pin puppets. The first tail layer we have here is layer 6. So my first pin puppet should be parented to the layer 6. So we come up and choose layer 6, then 5, then 4, then 3, then 2, and finally 1. After we parented the layers precisely to the structures, we go to the bezel. In the Structures panel, we click Select Structures and select all our bonus structures. And in Link and Constraint, click Auto-Rig and IK, so that our character is rigged. Then I select all the layers and close them, and come to Structure panel. And then select Structures, so that my whole bonus structure are selected, and hide them. And then shy them, so that they won't be in my timeline anymore. Well, I hide these pin puppets as well and shy them. And we don't need the anchor points either. We don't need these character layers either. So we shy them, but we don't hide them. And only we keep the layers of the controllers. This is the controller of dog's left hand, so I correct its name. And this is 1, 2. And this is the left leg. And this is the right one. As you see, our character is fully rigged. Let's give it a move so you can see that it's rigged. And these are its legs. As you see, they're disconnected. So we go to the F controls, IK hand, stretch, and disable auto stretch. And for the other hand and legs, we do the same. Well, so far the dog character has been rigged, and in the next part I'll show you how to create a walking animation automatically using Walk Cycle tool.